What's going on, Washington fans? So Joe Whitt Jr. spoke to the media today. A lot of people were waiting for that one. I have a few updates from that presser. Also, some practice notes and updates from today, and we'll go over yesterday's injury report, but I did want to go over yesterday's injury report because it's kind of going to be the same as today's, right? We'll get a lot of new updates and things. There's also a little bit of a scare with Deebo Samuel. I don't know exactly what's going on, but Terry McLaurin had the same issue last week, and he didn't end up playing last week. So we're going to dive into that. Make sure you hit the like button on this video. Hit that subscribe button on the road to 3,000 subscribers. Also, hit the hype button on today's video. So, we'll start with wherever my notes were, and that was that the Commanders actually worked out a punter. They worked out Jack Browning today. He's a punter, right? That's all I know. I don't know. I think he's coming straight out of college. Maybe the UFL. That looks like by his jersey. But they did work out a punter. Interesting for Tressway. Hope he's all right. But I don't know why they worked out a punter. Working on the side field today was Terry McLaurin, which we expected, right? He's only seen in the stretch portion of practice. He's not normally seen in the portion of practice where nobody's allowed to watch, like not the open part. So Noah Brown was on that field as well. Mike Sammerstill was on that field as well. I don't know why Mike Sammerstill was on that field. Maybe getting training from Jonathan Jones, like he's helping him out. And Jonathan Jones was also on that field as well. So Jonathan Jones is hurt. Noah Brown's hurt. Terry McLaurin's hurt. There's only one thing that could point to for Mike Sammerstill, and that he's hurt now. So I don't know why he was on that field, but it was on the side field. Mike Sammerstill was there. Hopefully he's all right. Hopefully he's not hurt, because I know that Mike Sammerstill hasn't been great this year, but we cannot afford to lose anyone in the secondary. Let's get to some of Joe Whitt Jr.'s pressers. This is all the updates I could find. Whitt said, right now we're playing a sloppy style of football. He said we will clean it up. So it's great confirmation from Joe Whitt Jr. Like he said, we will clean this up. You know, we're playing sloppy. He's aware of, obviously he's aware of it, but he said we will clean it up. He doesn't say, I hope we can clean it up, or we're going to try to clean it up. He says we will clean it up. And that's the most assuring part of this. And, you know, I've talked about it. I said, like, I've lost faith in Joe Whitt Jr. You know, my faith level in Joe Whitt Jr. is like a 3 out of 10 at this point. Last week, it was probably a 5 out of 10. It's dropped to a 3 out of 10. You know, if we're going by faith level or, you know, what's a way I could do this? Like, confidence level in him, it's like a 3 out of 10. So, Joe Whitt Jr. says they will clean up the defense. Joe Whitt Jr. also said, we don't need anyone to put the capes on. He said about this play on the podcast, he said, 26-yard pass to Pitts. 2 players who communicated ran to the same guy. So that's what happened on that play where Pitts got wide open. He ran for a lot. And Joe Whitt Jr. cleaned that up. He said 2 guys communicated. They ran to the same player, though. And that's what happened on that play. They said, Whitt said one of them got greedy, and that has to change. So Whitt, again, he understands. He said it has to change, right? I hope they ask him about turnovers, right? I hope they did ask him about that. I will see if that's in my updates, because I kind of got most of the updates. But Whitt said they got greedy, and that's going to have to change, right? So Zach Selby said that Joe Whitt Jr. said the first quarter of the season has not been consistent. He said we have to get into a rhythm playing as one, meaning an improvement in communication and gang tackling. So, you know, that was Joe Whitt Jr.'s presser. Again, that's kind of what we thought. Clean up the stuff on the defense, clean up the inconsistencies, and this has to change, right? Would have loved for someone to ask him about the turnovers, right? How can we create more turnovers? The whole identity of this defense is supposed to be turnovers. Why aren't you creating those? Would have loved somebody to ask about those, but they didn't. Deebo Samuel is also working on a side field, running routes and catching passes on a side field. Now he's dealing with the heel issue, and when we dive into the injury report, we'll look at that, but he's dealing with an injury. Hopefully he plays this weekend. That's all I can say. It seems like every week with this injury report, 4 new guys spawn into the injury report. It's crazy. And then Terry McLaurin and Noah Brown, again, they were on the side field. I did have that. And they both did go through stretching. So that's positive, I guess. At least they were out there. They did go through stretching. I don't think Terry McLaurin's going to play this weekend. I do have the thumbnail saying active with a question mark on it, as you saw. I think Terry has a chance, but I think it's pretty slim, right? It's a pretty slim chance. I don't think he's going to play this weekend. However, Jaden Daniels will play this weekend. That's going to lead us into the injury report from yesterday. And there's a lot of new guys on here. It's just a boatload. Every week, it's a boatload of new guys. But let's go over it. So, Dorrance Armstrong with an illness. That's nothing to worry about. He didn't practice Wednesday. He's had just an illness, so he's going to be all right. Nick Bellore with a quad and on a rest day. He did not practice. They'll give the vets the Wednesday off, right? Nick Bellore is going to play this weekend. He'll be fine. Noah Brown with a groin/knee injury did not practice. Noah Brown, I don't anticipate him going. One of the things that Rio Robinson said, you guys all know him from the Commanders YouTube world. He said that he didn't even treat Noah Brown like he's on the team anymore, and I would have to agree with that, right? If I'm gonna agree with that because Noah Brown, he never plays. Like, he lives his life on the injury report. He never plays. So I think we should do what Rio does and just treat him as he's not here, right? Because he really isn't. He's never going to play. Even when he does play, he's not reliable, right? So Noah Brown, again on this, did not practice yesterday. Would have loved to see him practice yesterday, though. Zach Ertz with a rest day. Again, he gets every Wednesday off, so nothing to worry about there. Ali Cajo with a concussion, actually. He didn't practice Wednesday. He didn't really he's a big special teamer. Other than that, he doesn't do much else, so I'm not worried about that injury. Terry McLaurin with a quad injury did not practice yesterday. Probably not going to practice today, right? We saw that he was only there for stretching, so maybe they'll put him as limited, but I would say it's probably going to be DNP. So, again, Terry McLaurin's chances of playing this week are probably a 20% chance, okay? Von Miller with a rest day. Again, Dan Quinn gives his veterans rest days on Wednesdays. Nothing to worry about there. Mike Samerstow, and this is what I didn't catch. So I said earlier in the show today, I said, I'm not sure why Mike Samerstow was on that side field. Well, he has a knee injury. He did not practice yesterday. Again, I don't know where these guys are coming from. Like, I don't know what they did in the game on Sunday. I don't know where we're getting these injuries, right? Where are these injuries happening? Because we never hear about them in the game on Sundays, and then they spawn in on the injury report starting on Wednesday. I don't understand, but Mike Samerstow's on here. Hopefully he heals up. Secondary is already bad enough. So, Deebo Samuel, heel injury, did not practice. Again, he's probably going to play like Mike is, but why? Where did Deebo and Mike Samerstow get on this list? How did they get on this list? What happened? Because I didn't see it in the game on Sunday, but Deebo Samuel's on here now. Laramie Tunsil, rest day. Again, Dan Quinn gives his guys veteran rest days on Wednesdays. Percy Butler with a hip injury. He was limited in practice. That shows signs that he's going to play, right? I think Percy's going to play this weekend. Took the weekend off last week. He was dealing with, again, a hip injury last week. He's a big part of the special team, so hopefully he plays this weekend. All signs are pointing to him playing this weekend. Also, John Bates with a calf injury. He did not play last week, or I think the last 2 weeks, actually. He was full in practice yesterday. He said on B-Mitch in Finley's podcast that he's going to play. He said he hopes he gets phased back into practice this week. Sure enough, yesterday he did get phased back into practice. John Bates will play. Sam Cosmi with a knee injury was activated. His 21-day practice window was opened yesterday, and so he was full yesterday in practice. He's going to make his return probably week 6 or 7, I would say. Somewhere around that area. I anticipate him playing. So, good to have Sam Cosmi back. This O-line's going to be a lot better with him in there. Hopefully he recovers fast and continues to hit all the marks. And then Jaden Daniels, this is a big talking point. With a knee injury, he was full yesterday. He's still wearing a knee brace. He said he would not prefer the knee brace, but he said he will do whatever he has to do to get on the field. Jaden Daniels will play this Sunday. Has been confirmed. Right, so it's been confirmed that Jaden Daniels will play this Sunday, and it's going to be very fun to see Jaden Daniels back out there. This is a must-win game for the Commanders, I do believe, and so Jaden Daniels, he will play this Sunday. Now let's get to Cliff Kingsbury's post-practice press conference. All right, so as I said, Cliff, we're going to get to his presser. His was only 4 minutes. Cliff trying to get in and out of there. It's just funny to see. He talked about the young lads developing. Luke and Jalen talked about their growth. He said that they look pretty good, and it's the testament to the work they put in the offseason. Talked about them a little bit and how good they've been looking. He also said they have to stay on the field on third downs and be able to convert to help the defense out a little bit, because he was asked kind of about the defense a little bit. Said they have to just stay on the field, help the defense out a little bit. And I think he's right about that, and convert on third downs. He was also asked about Jaden Daniels and him not having any restrictions in the offense. And he said, I think that's why we were overly cautious, because they didn't want to give him restrictions in the offense. So they didn't want to give him restrictions to the offense. They wanted to be overly cautious so that he would be able to be at full strength. And he said we didn't want to put him out there unless he could be Jaden. And he just said he could be Jaden. Like, basically saying, like, we want him to be at full strength. And, this is the guy that we want him to be full strength, right? We want this to be the guy of Jaden that we know, right? So Cliff talked about that a little bit. And that was basically Cliff's presser. Nothing too big, right? Because his offense has looked pretty good so far. Talked about Trent Scott a little bit, how good he's been. He said they feel like John Bates is one of the best blocking tight ends in the league. And so good to have him back, right? But that was basically it for today. I mean, that was all that was said today. So yeah, productive day at practice, a lot of injuries. Hopefully we can overcome them by Sunday, but it's a big matchup against the Chargers. Tomorrow I will have my game preview for the Chargers and Commanders game. Hold on until that. That's going to do it for me right now, though. Hail to the Washington Commanders. As always, guys, have a great rest of your Thursday. Rams, 49ers tonight. Give me the Rams in that one if I had to make a pick. Hopefully Devontae Adams goes off for my fantasy team. But that's going to do it for me right now. Guys, have a great rest of your day, and peace.